Hello and welcome everyone. In this video, we are going to learn about MT700, which is a issue of a documentary credit. We're going to learn this with an example, which will help understand the use cases in much better way. So let's get started. MT700, which is used in a trade finance domain, called as a issue of a documentary credit. So first of all, let's understand what is MT700 message used for. This message is sent by an issuing bank to the advising bank. Now, what is issuing bank and what is advising bank? That is also which we need to understand, which we'll explain in the next slide where we have taken an example. It is used to indicate the terms and conditions of a documentary credit which has been originated by the sender, that is by the issuing bank. Now, let's take an example to understand this MT700 message completely. So first of all, this MT700 message has a field specification which is released by the Swift. There's a Swift MT standard handbook which is released by the Swift, which you can get to see anywhere on the online portal as well as on the Swift portal. Now, as per that, if a bank has to communicate from one financial institution to another financial institution, then they have to use the Swift network and they need to have a subscription of the MT7 category basically. If one bank wants to send MT700 message to another bank, they need to have a RMA relationship wherein they can send out this MT700 message. Now, as per the Swift, this is what the message specification. Now, there are statuses which stands with M, means those are mandatory fields to be used in MT700 categories. For an example, if you see the field 27, which is called as the sequence of total, and it also tells you about the content and option which should be in the format when it is been sent out to the Swift network. It validates accordingly, otherwise it will be nacked. So sequence of total, field 27 is a mandatory field, and field 40A, which is also a mandatory field, which is called as a form of documentary credit, and it allows up to 24x characters. And then next field is your field 20, which is documentary credit number, which is issued when the letter of credit is generated. And it is also a mandatory field, which should be a field 20. Now, there are optional fields like 23, which is a reference to pre-advice, which supports up to 16 character length of X character set. And then field 31C, which is a mandatory field, which is a date of issue, which is of format 6 length and fixed length of 6 characters basically. And then 40E is a mandatory field again, which is applicable rule. Applied is 30x character set and followed by the 35x character set, which is optional one. Then field 31D is the date and place of the expiry. 51 is the applicant bank. Field 50 is the applicant. Field 59 is a beneficiary. 32B is the currency code amount. 39A is a percentage credit amount tolerance. 39C is additional amounts covered. 41A is a mandatory fill wherein it is available with by A or D format. 42C is a drafts add. 42A is a drawee. 42M is a mixed payment details. 42B is a negotiation deferred payment details. 43B is a parcel shipments. 43T is a trans-shipment categories. And then further fields, if you have to see, I'll just directly land up into mandatory one, which is a field 49, which is a confirmation instructions. So these many fields can be available. Other than that, there are some additional optional fields, right, which is available from field 44 to field 49, right, which includes latest date of shipment, shipment period, description of goods and or services, documents required, additional conditions, special payment conditions for beneficiary, special payment conditions for the bank only. So many of these details basically can be directly mapped with respect to the letter of credit which has been released, right, between the banks for taking a guarantee on towards the corporate customers, specifically when they are doing a trade, import and exports. So they when they release this information, will have this such data which will be directly mapped on the message, and then it will be sent out to the importer or exporter respectively. So let's see an example over here which I have taken, where ABC company, which is in Vienna towards the left hand side, has imported, let's say, some amount of beers, let's say 400,000 bottles of beers from the company Amsterdam, from the Amsterdam, right? So ABC Vienna company account holding institution bank is this OELBATWW, which is in Vienna, which is nothing but the Ostrich Landmark Vienna bank. And then the advising bank basically is AMRONL2A, which is in London, and the account holding bank of this company Amsterdam is MEESL and L2A, which is nothing but the Bank Mies and Hope Amsterdam. Now, the letter of credit is between these two particular banks, which you can see, right, from the Vienna bank to that of your Amsterdam bank. All right. So now let's see this. Given that the letter of credit has certain information which includes date of issue, the expiry date, place of expiry, amount, advising bank, available with, description of goods, documents required, presentation period, confirming bank, and some additional information as well. So now this information which is there as part of a letter of credit between these particular two banks, Vienna bank and then that of your Amsterdam bank, which is your advising bank, which is Rotterdam Bank of Amsterdam. Now, when this MT700 message, which is issue of a letter of credit, right? When it is issue of a documentary of credit, when it is being sent from this Vienna bank to that of your Amsterdam bank, this is how your MT700 message would look like. Starting from your sequence of total 27, 1 by 1 out of 1, form of documentary credit, 40A, if you see this, irrevocable, documentary of credit number is there, date of issue is there, applicant rules is there, 40E, UCP, latest version. UCP is international format, again a documentation. Date and place of the expiry is also provided in the respective format. Applicant is there, which is nothing but the ABC company's information, which is in the field 50 format, ordering customers account number, name and address. Beneficiary is there, which is field 59, AMDAM, right, which is a company. Currency code, amount has been mentioned, euro 100,000 has been mentioned. Available with by information, parcel shipments, transshipments, port of loading, port of discharge, which is in Vienna. The reason why they have mentioned is port of discharge Vienna, because Amdam company is sending the 400,000 bottles of beers via ship to ABC Vienna. Now, once it arrives to the Vienna port, then from there, this particular bank, right, OELBATWW, which is the bank at the Vienna, they will take care of it before handing it over to ABC Vienna. They will not directly hand over to ABC Vienna. At the port, this Vienna bank will be available with the respective information only when they pay off. That is ABC Vienna pay off to this bank, Vienna bank, then only they will release this for 400,000 of bottles of beer to ABC Vienna. So port of loading is Amsterdam because it was loaded from the Amsterdam countryside. Okay. So next is latest date of shipment 44C, description of goods and or services. It has been provided that 400,000 bottles of the beer packed 12 to an export carton FCA Amsterdam. So those are the information which is sent by the Amsterdam company and is been provided in this field, what do you call it as 45A. And documents required is also been mentioned here by this Vienna bank to the Amsterdam bank, saying that 454, that is in mentioned in the 46A, that is signed commercial invoice in duplicate, packaging list in duplicate, forwarding agent certificate of the receipt showing goods and stamp to applicant. And then charges is also mentioned over here. Field 720, all banking charges outside issuing bank are from beneficiary. Paid for the presentation in days 48. Forwarding agents receipt. Confirmation of instructions. Confirm. Field 50A is the respective beneficiary bank or the beneficiary customer holds an account with. And then 57A is the account with institution where this particular beneficiary banks holds an account at this AMRON L2A bank. All right, so this is your MT700 message. Now, there are plenty of messages under the MT7 categories, which is used as part of your trade finance, letter of credit, right? Amendment related, and many more other messages are available in our syllabus, which you can get to learn from our training course. If you want to learn this trade finance related training course, then you can always inquire to us on the respective email ID, which I'm going to share it to you. But quickly to show up the trade finance syllabus, we have introduction to trade finance. We will start from the very basics, which will help you to make your foundation level strong, and then gradually we'll move ahead. So there we'll cover the definition and importance of trade finance, overview of the trade, international trade and its participants, types of the trade finance instruments. Then we'll go and learn about the trade documents, that is trade documents like invoices, bills of loading, lading, letters of credit, etc. Importance of accurate and compliant documentation in international trade. And then we'll go and learn about the methods of payment, cash in advance, open account, documentary collections, letters of credit. So when we touch base on this particular topics, we are going to cover multiple use cases. We are going to help you understand from very layman's terminology, which will help you to understand the trade, import, export areas. Then open account transaction in details with diagram, pros and cons of the process, advance payment, documentary collection, URC 522, its definition, the number of clauses and the main clauses, documentary credit, in detail diagrams with the respective use cases, UCP 600, ISBP 745, URR 725, EUCP, documents required, which is required for the trade finance, import and export documents, discussion as per the ICC rules, that is UCP and ISBP. Then export and import financing, pre-shipment financing, post-shipment financing, working capital management in trade finance, risk management in trade finance, which comprises of credit risk assessment, country risk assessment, mitigation strategies such as credit issuance and guarantees. Then we'll touch base upon the trade regulations and compliance, which comprises of international trade laws and regulations, compliance with trade sections, export controls and anti-money laundering measures. Then we'll touch base upon the international payment system, because at the end, once the trade finance sorted out, and once the exporter exports and importer is about to receive, the bank who is holding at the port, they will only give it to the importer when the importer pay off the payment, and the payment is done via the respective payment schemas, whether it be by local or by the international. If it is international, SWIFT, and then if it is local, via the local clearing and settlement mechanism like CHIPS, SEPA. So emerging trends in trade finance will also be covered, which will cover digitization of the trade finance processes, blockchain and distributed ledger technology, impact of geopolitical developments on trade finance, case studies and practical applications, which includes your analysis of real world trade finance scenarios, simulation exercises and role plays, application of trade finance concepts in business context. We'll understand trade loan, reimbursement finance, and then the MT7 series with a lot of business use cases as well, which covers your MT700 from MT700 till MT799. In there, over there, we'll cover the major important messages comprising issue of documentary credit, issue of pre-advice of a documentary credit, amendment of a document credit, advice of a third bank's documentary credit, and so on. So all the 7 categories messages will understand and will take multiple use cases for important messages as well as part of a syllabus. So all you need to do is you need to just email us on the respective email ID. Every month we have this trade finance related training course going on. You can enroll us by dropping us an email at swiftpaymentguru@gmail.com. Okay. So that's it for the day, guys. And I'll see you next time with new video. Thank you, and I'll see you next time.